still watching Q News with the special coverage of today's voting process for the first day of the second phase of Egypt's 2025 parliamentary elections. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi had earlier casted his vote this morning in the second phase of the elections for the House of Representatives. The elections are to be held nationwide on the 24th and 25th of November. President el-Sisi voted at his designated polling station in Al-Shahid Mustafa Yusri Emiria Model Preparatory School for Girls in Heliopolis. The director of the Egyptian executive body for the National Election Authority, Councillor Ahmed Ben Daly, had confirmed that voting proceeded smoothly during the ongoing parliamentary elections, with all the polling stations open on schedule and no violations of campaigning rules detected nearby. He also added that a hotline has been dedicated to establish and address any complaints regarding the electoral process. Ben Daly emphasized zero tolerance for infractions and encouraged citizens to take part actively in this vote. The authority reminded voters not to photograph their ballots to avoid legal consequences, as well as reaffirming that any breaches of the elections regulations had been handled and will be handled according to the law. Authorities stressed that the process remains transparent, orderly, and fully operational across all voting stations and centres. And again, we're still covering the election process. As you can see, we have 4 different windows there of different governorates across the nation where voting is taking place, including the capital, Cairo, and as well Damietta. This is again the first day of the voting for the second phase of the Egyptian elections for the House of Representatives, and it has witnessed a large participation from several ministers who had cast in their votes across polling stations in the capital. Officials emphasized that voting is both a national duty and a constitutional right, reflecting support for democratic processes and state institutions. The second phase of this election includes 13 governorates, including the capital, Cairo. There are about 34 million voters who are eligible to take part in this election across the 13 governorates. There are over 1,000 candidates vying for a coveted seat in the House of Representatives, and they are all fighting over 146 seats there. To help talk to us more about the election process, we're joined from Cairo by the journalist and writer Wala Na'matallah. Thank you for joining us here on Q News. Let's start off by asking you, what does today's voter presence reveal about the Egyptian dedication towards taking part in this democratic process?
Ever since the early hours, the electoral process has started in Egypt, and they carry on until tomorrow in 13 governorates, and we have 73 districts and more than 5,000 polling stations where the Egyptians can vote. And of course the turnout rate was very noticeable here, and maybe we don't have much time before the first day of the second phase of the House of Representatives elections is over, and this phase shows the legitimacy and monitoring.
So how would you assess the opening day of the second phase of the parliamentary elections? As you said, there's only a few hours left in today's first day of the elections.
Yeah, there is a process of monitoring from the NEA and from other monitors, and so everything is going so smoothly. And then also, we of course cannot forget what happened in the first phase and how organized it was, and also we have organizations. Um, they are monitoring the electoral process in Egypt, and they have released statements showing how smooth the process is going in the 13 governorate, and also the central ones and the NEA. They have shown that things are stable and that the voters actually had all the ways that they can have to facilitate voting, casting their votes. And of course, this shows how the authorities are organized and are putting so much effort to make sure that everything goes smoothly and with integrity and transparency, and that everyone will follow the same rules and will have the same rights. And so, yes, the high turnout today shows this.
Well, as you said, there's a very high turnout and availability of people. People are queuing up quite smoothly there and going in, as you said. What is your reaction to the strong voter presence that we've witnessed during this parliamentary elections? Why do you think Egyptians are keen to cast in their ballots in large numbers?
Uh, the new republic here has changes in the democratic and political atmosphere, and so this actually has a huge impact on the turnout rate and how aware they are of their constitutional rights. This shows that, especially this year, and we have seen this happen in the House of Senators and now in the House of Representatives elections, and this shows that the Egyptians are aware of the importance of participating in the electoral process, and this is showing here. This wasn't happening in the past years, as you know, and yeah, the voters, as I said, are participating, and this shows that the Egyptians are very aware of their constitutional right, and it is very important to choose who will be representing them. And we cannot also forget the Egyptians abroad. They have casted their votes over 2 days, Friday and Saturday, and yeah, we saw also a high turnout in other countries as well.
So, how would you evaluate the National Election Authority's role when it comes to ensuring a smooth and accessible voting experience for the average Egyptian?
The National Elections Authority had a clear and a crucial role ever since they announced the start of the elections, whether in the first phase or the second, and they had so many ways. They have so many ways to help the voters cast their vote and to make sure that everything is going smoothly and with integrity. They are helping the seniors also, and they have put their polling stations in the first floors, and they have also helped those with special needs as well. And they have, as I said, they made it clear to the voters that they can choose who to represent them, and that everything will be going on with transparency, and they've raised awareness about the importance of participating in an event like this.
Well, you talked about engagement when it comes to the Egyptians in this phase or in this elections in general. In your opinion, how important is it that citizens do engage when it comes to directing the path that Egypt is looking for when it moves forward, especially during the electoral process?
Over the past years, Egypt has been putting so much effort on so many levels, and we've had lots of goals that we've reached, especially in the economic reform program, and this shows how strong the authorities and organizations in Egypt, and so this actually shows that everything is going with transparency and integrity, and that so are all the institutions in the country, especially that the upcoming parliament will have a legitimate agenda to help Egypt and the Egyptians.
So, what else did you observe? Did you sort of see any differences between the first phase of this election and the second phase?
Yeah, of course, what was announced in the conference, the NEA conference, and they confirmed that they will be facing and dealing with all the violations that may happen from the candidates or the voters. And so this actually had a huge impact today, and we've seen this with the high turnout rate. And yeah, there was close monitoring to make sure that there are no violations whatsoever, and this actually enhanced the turnout rate, as I said. And we've seen people from all eligible ages, and I think also that tomorrow we will have even a higher turnout to complete this phase.
Okay, from Cairo, that was Wala Namatullah, a journalist, writer. Thank you so much for joining us here on Q News. And we're still covering the elections, and we're going to discuss this more with a Cairo-based journalist and writer, Akram El Khassas. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Q News. Sir, let's just start off first by asking about the number of voters and the turnout today. What does this sort of indicate about the Egyptian commitment when it comes to engaging in this democratic process? Let me repeat my question there for you. In your opinion, obviously we've seen a very high turnout for voters. In your opinion, what does this indicate about Egyptian commitment when it comes to engaging in a democratic process? I'm not sure if you can hear me there, sir, but let me try and repeat the question one more time. Now, we've seen a large turnout for voters who are casting their ballots in for this House of Representatives elections. In your opinion, what do you think this indicates about the Egyptians' commitment to engaging in a democratic process? Okay, one more time there, sir. Now, in your opinion, what does the high turnout of voters indicate about the Egyptian commitment to engaging in the democratic process?
In my opinion, the second phase here, after the president's intervention and the measures that the NEA had, I think that we will have an even higher turnout, because people now think and can see for themselves that there is integrity and transparency, and we've seen violations being dealt with immediately. And so the more measures they take to increase trust in the electoral process, the higher turnout we'll see, because people can know for sure and can see for themselves that their voices aren't being that their votes aren't being manipulated with, and that there is transparency and integrity. And so yes, if anyone can see that that there is no integrity here, then we wouldn't have seen this high turnout rate. And so yes, this actually holding the elections now in during the weekdays gives the voters a higher opportunity to go and participate. And so I think the Egyptians abroad or here the first day it went very well. It is very clear that it is being monitored closely and that everyone is practicing their constitutional rights and that everything is being dealt with immediately, any violations or any complaints. And so all of this is very important, and this will multiply and increase the turnout rate, and I think we will see a larger turnout tomorrow. And so yes, and I think we will see this through the individual candidates especially.
So, sir, from an organizational point of view here, how do you evaluate the first day's voting process when it comes to organization as well as public response to the needs of the average citizen, whether they be senior citizens or those with disabilities?
A large number of voters here. Organization, um, the organization is perfect, and they are facilitating things for people with special needs or for seniors. There is monitoring. All the committees are monitoring things, and they are dealing with any violations. And so I think this all helps.
What is your perspective on the voter turnout, the strong presence observed throughout the parliamentary election?
I think that the rate here is very good actually, and even in the first phase, the NEA have started to release the actual number of participation. Maybe it is not that huge, but it shows that there is that the people are keen to participate, and I think that we will see a higher rate here in the 14 governorate, um, especially after the president's intervention.
Well, how do you assess the National Election Authority's effectiveness in providing a smooth, orderly and accessible voting experience for citizens?
The NEA has taken great measures, and I think that they are being very transparent and very clear. And so, yeah, they're doing amazing, and they're monitoring everything closely, and they are enhancing the concept of participating.
Okay, in your opinion, how essential is the active participation of Egyptians in the electoral process in a way to shape the future of this country?
I think that participating is very important here, and as I said, the Egyptians participate when they feel that things are going smoothly and with transparency, and the president has confirmed that things have to go this way, and that the candidates have to be chosen wisely, and because they will be representing the Egyptians and will have crucial roles in the government. And so yes, the Egyptians need to know for sure that that their rights are protected. And so yes, this is why we've seen this turnout rate. So yes, we cannot just let the political life be, so that we cannot have gaps through which some organizations can slither through.
Well, one of the most noticeable things that we've seen during this election process is the participation of the youth. The average young person in Egypt is turning out in high numbers, especially during the second phase of House of Representative elections. How do you interpret this participation? Why is it significant that the young people are taking part?
I think that all the generations have actually taken part. We have seen seniors and people in their 30s and 40s, and then also the youth. The youth are actually very keen to participate because they feel like they're being respected and represented, and so this all deepens and shows how important the concept of participating is. And so yes, we've seen even young candidates also, and so as I said, the youth feel represented and respected, and that they are being taken care of, basically.
Okay, from an administrative standpoint, what challenges, if any, had emerged during today's voting, and how are they being addressed on the ground?
We have seen challenges, and they were dealt with immediately, maybe from the organizers or the authority, or even the Egyptian or from the Egyptian administration. We've seen the polling stations also open early, and this facilitated things. And as I said, this because these are weekdays, not weekends.
Yes. So how do you see the participation of women in this phase of the election, contributing to a more representative parliamentary landscape? Is this how you see women taking part in the electoral process?
Of course, yeah, we know that around 25% are of women are being represented in the House of Representatives, in parties or in individual seats, and so yeah, women participating shows that they are very happy with representing them, and yeah, empowering women and people with special needs and the seniors. This is all very important, and these people were being somewhat neglected before, but not anymore. And so this has made them very happy, and we've seen the turnout of women as well.
So what kind of impact do you think the overall atmosphere at the polling stations has on the average voter, whether it be, the security presence, organization, even enthusiasm from the public? Do you think this has helped or the voter confidence in the electoral process? Let me say that again, sir. Now, what do you think is the overall impact of the atmosphere in the polling stations, whether it be, organization, logistical efficiency, security presence, or even just the average public, enthusiasm there? Do you think this has somehow affected voter confidence?
Yeah, there is security, of course, and organization is excellent outside and inside the polling stations. We have seen security measures outside the polling stations, and then also on the inside, as I said. And organization, such great organization, actually facilitates participating for seniors and people with special needs.
Well, could you tell us a bit about senior, international observers for the process itself? How did they view the electoral process during the second phase?
International monitoring is very important, and we've seen a lot of organizations and that have asked for permission, and they got it. And so yes, as I said, monitoring is very important because these monitors have a crucial role, and I think that here in the second phase we can see close monitoring. It is very clear that it is being monitored. Everything is very transparent, everything is handled with integrity. They're listening to the voters and even the candidates, and they're monitoring any violations that may happen, or any candidates trying to influence the voters. And so this is all very important, and I think that the international organization statements will be very important, and they will recognize this, and yeah, they see this live and with transparency.
So what are your expectations as the vote's about to end very soon for the second day of the election process? Do you think that the turnout will be higher than it is today?
Yeah, I think after the first day, I think the second day will witness even a higher turnout. This is very normal, actually. It is very usual that the first day has a less.
So I don't know if you have the information here, but if you know which governorates around Egypt saw the highest turnout, for instance, or you've observed maybe through information you got through journalism or the television sets that have seen the highest turnout when it comes to participation during the election process?
Yeah, there is a high turnout rate. Yeah, it is very good here for the first day, and I think we'll see more in the second day.
No, I mean, what governorates saw a larger number? Is it Cairo, for instance, that we're seeing more people coming in to vote? Suez, maybe even Damaita. Which one do you think had the biggest turnout?
Usually, Cairo has lots of districts and has a turnout rate, but even in some other governorates like Upper Egypt, for example, they have also high turnout rates there because they have lots of individual seats and candidates.
Okay, from Cairo, that was the writer and journalist Akram Al Qasas. Thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for joining us and telling us more about the electoral process. And we're still watching and observing what's happening in the first day of the electoral process for the second phase of the elections. Egyptian Senator Adel Zidane praised the wide and dignified turnout of voters participating in today's first day of the second phase of the House of Representatives elections. He affirmed that Egyptians have always answered the call for the nation, approaching the ballot boxes with awareness, responsibility, and a clear understanding of the importance of choosing those who will represent them under the parliamentary dome. Zidane urged all eligible voters to exercise their constitutional right and vote in large numbers, describing participation as a powerful message that reflects the consciousness of the Egyptian people and the determination to support the state institutions and continue the path of national development. In his statement, he emphasized that citizens' active involvement is not merely a national duty, but also a vivid expression of trust in the country's chosen path, one aimed at strengthening democracy and reinforcing political stability. This participation, he said, is especially crucial at a time when the world faces accelerating challenges that demand a strong parliament capable of expressing the people's will and addressing the priorities of the coming stage. He noted that the National Election Authority continues to carry out its mission with unwavering professionalism and full independence, providing a secure, transparent, and well-organized electoral environment that guarantees every voter the opportunity to cast their ballot freely. Zidane added that the extensive efforts made by the authority, along with the facilitation provided to voters, reflects a steadfast commitment in managing the electoral process according to the highest legal and ethical standards. He stressed that any attempts to cast doubt on the integrity of the elections or downplay voter turnout are nothing but desperate efforts that fail to undermine the genuine national role played by state institutions. The growing public confidence in the National Election Authority, he said, is the strongest proof of the people's awareness and their ability to distinguish fact from rumors. That's it for me, but we're still live coverage with the electoral process for the first day of the second phase of the election. So stay tuned for more updates about what's happening here in the parliamentary elections.